Hello, I'm JW. Today we have an item sent in by Paul, and it's an Octopus, and Octopus box. More specifically, this is basically a junction box which was used for lighting and various other things back in the day when these things were actually available. And it's got the big letter B on the back. Now this one is basically just been cut out of an old installation, and it's pretty much intact as it would have been on the day it was installed, which, as we'll see in a moment, was quite a long time ago. Now this is a genuine Octopus box, and Paul sent this in, so thanks for sending that in. Still got the remains of the wiring attached here. This is rubber insulated wiring, twin with the protective conductor in the middle, that rubber cover nevertheless with a outer covering of black rubber insulation. Label on the front has gone, but this would have said Octopus and various other things. And this actually also has the original label on the side here, which would have come with it, just tied on with a bit of string there. And we'll just have a closer look at that. So in the event of any technical query, it is essential that this label is returned with the query. And have a look on the other side. Basically it just gives us the type of box, which is an SS16 Type B, operative number 85, and the date 19th of March 1958. And 1958 fits in well with the type of wiring we have there. Again, rubber insulated stuff there. Conductors there inside, red and black insulated with the bare protective conductor in the middle. Plastics were coming in 1958, but it was still the case which rubber insulation was pretty much the standard choice, and only sort of people who wanted to go sort of on the edge there would be using the modern and newfangled plastics such as polythene or PVC. Now these were used for lighting in homes, and the whole point of this was you had this one box, and this is where all the connections were made, and then you had all of the cables and things going out to the switches and the light fittings and whatever else, so that you didn't have to have extra wires at each individual point. So you would have ended up with a single cable at each light switch, single cable at each light fitting, all of which joined together in this central location. Benefits of that, of course, certainly these days it would be very handy with things like those modern light fittings, because a lot of those typically don't have space for multiple wires. And it also made alterations to the system fairly easy, because again you're only dealing with a single cable to each position. So we'll open this up and see what we have inside. These things were actually fairly common, certainly for quite a while, up in even to the 1970s. They seem to go a bit out of favour after that, but there is a modern equivalent you can get of this. And obviously it doesn't look anything like this, but the concept is still there. So basically take them all to the central point. As I say, you can get the modern equivalent, but you could also just make one of these up yourself fairly easily from a box and appropriate terminals inside. This is metal, and if we just pry the lid off, we can see what we have inside. So there's the inside of the cover there. It's got this sort of rubbery strip along both sides to secure the cables in place. Yeah, just a metal backing there, just black painted. And then here's the inside, so see the wires going in, and then we've got our various terminals under this cover. So we can see Hartley Electromotives Limited, just sort of raised lettering on the cover there. Now this central nut should undo. Probably not been undone since 1958, so we have. Then this is a moulded, looks like Paxilin or something similar on the top there. And then inside we have our various conductors. So our protective conductors are in the middle here, or the earth connections, so just a straight through connection for those. Notable that most of these don't actually have those, because again at the time lighting circuits generally didn't have protective conductors unless it was a very specific installation. Generally it wasn't something that they had, but of course the main supply coming in does have those, so you can see those connected in the middle. And then the rest of this is just individual terminals connecting two or more wires together. So you can see over here these have quite a large number of conductors in. These will be the lines here, our neutrals over there, and then we've got some here which obviously interconnects between different parts of the system. We can also see here this is what happens to rubber insulated wires when they get old. The insulation becomes brittle and then it starts to fall off and break away there. As you can see, that's gone totally brittle. And notice that this has happened inside this sealed closed box, so it's not always things which are moved at the light switches and sockets and things. As you can see, this is just breaking away and crumbling into the bottom. Now, I don't know exactly what this was used for, but we can certainly see that we've got basically a whole load of lines coming in here, say individual ones there, and we've got surprisingly few over this side, so we've only got those two there, so that would indicate only, say, 2 switched circuits. The rest of it is just 3 sets of neutrals there and 3 sets of lines over this side. These ones coming in are quite a bit larger than the others, so those 2 there, as are some of the ones on this side. And then we have our smaller circuits here, which again just all are common together over there. And this would presumably be where the one or more light switches would connect through, so there's only 2 here. As you can see there, there's plenty of space there for additional terminals if required. And we can see if I move some of these, all of that insulation is just cracking away and crumbling as it's really completely destroyed. And that's why if you find rubber wiring, don't be fooled by this piece here looking okay. Could be cracking and breaking away further away where you can't see it. Now I'll just take off this one as there's no wires attached to that. We can see it is just simply the screw on the top there, brass plate, and then underneath the brass piece, and the screw goes down into the threaded insert in the block below. And again, that just places in the bottom there. Presumably at the time you could buy the terminals separately and then just install as many or as few as you needed. A couple of other things to note here. We've got this registered number printed on the middle here. Notice that the protective conductors here are not sleeved in green or any other colour. Again, that was fairly common, certainly even up to the 1960s. These are just left bare. It's only a fairly recent thing, which is sort of 1970s onwards, where these things have the green or green and yellow sleeving placed over them. So that's not actually incorrect. Even at the time, that was pretty much the standard thing. Another thing is that a lot of these screw heads here do have some sort of varnish or sealing over the top of them. You can see this one in particular has quite a lake of it put there. So presumably that was put on to prevent these things from loosening over time. So kind of a maintenance-free connection arrangement there, or a very early version of it. How effective it was, of course we're not going to know, but certainly these haven't come loose after all this time, so it seemed to work. So presumably it was put the wires in, tighten down, and then when you finished, just sort of paint a little of that varnish or lacquer over each one just to lock it in position. Bottom of this is just steel, as is the top there, and we can see it's got this sort of rubbery material again on that side and the other side there to secure the cables in position when the lid is screwed down. Now, so these are very fragile. I'm not going to actually take these out because if they do, they'll just crumble away to dust. So we're going to keep this in its existing condition here. And there will be pictures of this on the website eventually, though that could be some time from this video as the website is currently being completely redone. But again, that is it really for this video. So until next time, thanks for watching.